Testing, testing, testing.
Watching it online now, so we're just recording it as like a
No, we're
like
overall
overall to have like
have an archive.
that's cool.
And,
That's smart.
no.
Yeah. All right. Should we get started? Wait a second.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Now he has like he likes the big bars. Only big bars. They're vegan too,
Holy fig bars.
so they have a lot of fiber.
And they're sweet. Do it. All right. All right, so we're going to start with a brief meditation. Good morning. Yeah. Oh, we're going to do Om and Shanti first. All right, so sit up nice and tall, starting with 3 Oms, 3 Shantis. Deep full breath in through your nose. Exhale all the air out. Inhale for Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. And setting up for a brief meditation, choose your seat. Consciously place your head above your spine. Spine is upright, feet and legs are relaxed. And let the body be free from stress when you find this seat. Let the jaw relax. Once you find the seat, commit to it. Be still. You can allow the eyes to close, draw your senses inside, and have an awareness of your breath. Allow that breath to deepen. Full inhales, full exhales without any force. Then focus your precious faculty of attention on the seed mantra, chanting the mantra Shanti internally. Every inhale, Shanti. Exhale, Shanti. Allowing your eyes to open. Good morning. Should we get started?
Yeah.
All right. All right, so we're going to start today. I'm going to give a lecture. Hello. How are you? Yeah. We're going to start with Yoga Sutra 4.33. So it's on page 47. It's the one that says PYS, Patanjali's Yoga Sutra 4.33. And we'll go through each of the words in Sanskrit. I guess we'll read the interpretation first and sing one word at a time, 2 words, and then the whole thing together, and then kind of talk about what it means. So, Kshana Pratiyogi Prani Nama Aparanta Nirgrayaha Kramaha. The uninterrupted moments corresponding to a sequence of events are permanently grasped. Yeah? Oh, 47. 4.33. Yeah. Do you see it? Yeah? Okay. So the uninterrupted moments corresponding to a sequence of events are permanently grasped and realized when transformation is completed. And I really like that interpretation because a lot of those exact words you'll hear when we go through word for word what these Sanskrit words translate to. Like most words in Sanskrit have like a few different translations that you can use, but these words kind of directly, you'll see how they come together to form this line, this thread, this sutra. So we'll sing it together. Do you normally do this way when you do? Maybe Austin lead this part. When you do the sutras, do you do this?
I tend to, like with sutras.
Yeah. You do those ones. Yep.
Let me see. Right. Let me go.
Those two. Yeah.
Play it. Yeah,
Perfect. Yep. Those two. Okay. So we'll start call and response. Kshana. I don't know. Shan. Maybe we'll do it without the harmonium? Yeah?
Sure.
Okay, we're going to do it without the harmonium because I don't know the 2 notes for the harmonium. You do it, yeah. You do it. I want to watch what you do. It's like 2 notes and I'm not sure what they are.
A lot of times with sutras,
yeah.
Things that are Vedic, the melody's incredibly simple.
Super simple.
The simpler it is, the better.
But it's traditional, so you don't want to like...
Whereas when you deal with bhajans, the melody became
more of a song, yeah.
So, 3 ohms.
Keshan Pratiyogi Paranama Aparanta Nigrayaha Kramaha Keshan Pratiyogi Paranama Aparanta Nigrayaha Kramaha Keshan Pratiyogi Pradhanama Aparanta Nirmayaha Kramaha.
So I guess I sing it, I change the notes within it, but I keep the...
You keep it simpler, so the simplicity. It's simpler than I was trying to make it.
Now
keeps the same two notes. Yep. Yeah. That's what I was trying. Shanam.
You like understand the breakdown.
Right.
Pratiyogi.
Pratiyogi.
Pranama.
Prananama. Prataranta. Aparanta. Nirgrayaha. Ramaha.
So you kind of like in each syllable, you kind of change it.
Yep, Krishna Das style.
Yeah.
But the simplicity is actually really nice.
Yeah,
I find, with the sutras, because they tend to be more meditative, right? Like,
yeah. And like, they're mechanical.
Yes, they're more exactly. They're more intellectual in that sense, like the meditative focus. But yeah. So that being said, let's go through word for word, and I'm going to read the interpretation one more time, so it's kind of fresh in your minds. So the interpretation on page 47 by Austin Sanderson. I hear he's pretty cool if you ever get to meet him. The uninterrupted moments corresponding to a sequence of events are permanently grasped and realized when the transformation is completed. So Kashana, I always think of it as like the name Shana. Like I have a friend named Shana, so that's how it helps me. Kashana is a moment, right? A dimensionless moment in time. This is the way my teachers have defined it, dimensionless moment in time. It's regarded as a measure of time. And if you look it up, like some texts, I think some ancient texts specifically in their context say it's like 4 minutes. Usually it's considered instantaneous, like a teeny little moment in time, like a blink of an eye. So dimensionless moment in time regarded as a measure of time. Pratiyogan is corresponding or like a counterpart. So I think of it as like shoulder stand and fish, right? They go together. You wouldn't do one without the other if you're a good yoga teacher. And they go together, right? They complement. They're not exactly the same, but they're corresponding. They're linked, exactly. Yep, they're linked. They correspond. They're not the same, but they help each other out, right? They're not enemies in that sense, I guess. So prananama is a transformation, right? And we hear that word in the interpretation as well. A transformation. Something is shifting. Something is changing. And we're on the 4th chapter of the Yoga Sutras. Things are not staying the same, right? Like we're moving, we're shifting through these threads. Yes. It does sound the same. Yes. Right. It's not. Yes. It's not breath control, right? Yeah, different word. If you look at it in print too, you see it's different, but when you hear it, it can sound very similar.
It sounds similar.
Yep.
If you were to sometimes say it, you may mispronounce.
Yes.
It and say pranayama.
Right.
But it's
Right.
pranayama.
Right. Kind of like down dog and shavasana, right? Adho Mukha, Svanasana and shavasana. They're not the same. Yeah. There's no connection in a sense to that, but yeah, so transformation. Aparanta, the ultimate end, or you could say like a death. And it's aparanta, there's like that little line over the A, which in general, I'm not a Sanskrit scholar, but the little line over the A is like like a little holding. So aparanta, ultimate end, or a death. And again, remember, like the word before that tells us something's changing. So a transformation or a death in yoga isn't necessarily considered like, this is not a bad thing, right? Like there's a shift, there's a change, there's an end to something because something is changing. Nirgrayaha, that little ha at the end, permanently grasped. And that word is right in our interpretation. So you're holding it permanently. Some people say it's like a retention, right? Or a holding it onto, retaining, holding it permanently, grasping it. And then krama, another word that sounds the same, right? Could easily be misinterpreted or mispronounced. It sounds like karma. It looks like karma. It's not. Karma is the K-A. This is K-R. So krama or kramaha, uninterrupted sequence of events, something that's in order. It's a series, a succession, a progression, step by step, a regular course. It's not random, right? We're going step by step on a path. It increases gradually by degrees. So it's not like I went from here to there. In a sense, I did, but there's a progression, right? There's a path. Yes, exactly, exactly. So when you think of the word vinyasa, like we talked about yesterday, you know, if we don't define it as a flow, right? If we think about vinyasa, the V and then nyasa, the whole term there is vinyasa krama.
Right, but
Pop
you
quiz.
can't understand the krama
Yeah.
of the vinyasa till you are done with the sequence.
Yes, exactly.
That's why we don't teach it
Yep.
like vinyasa krama.
Right.
Because you haven't completed the sequence. But once you
Yep.
complete the sequence,
Yep.
then that is vinyasa krama.
But in the, like at the beginning of it, or 3 steps into it,
You don't know the krama.
you don't know. It's like if you think about it like a day in your life or an event that happens and you look back and you're like, oh, I can see how that happened. But in the moment, you're just kind of going through it. And it's impossible. It doesn't mean you're not looking at it right. It's just impossible to see it when you're on that step, right? So until you've done it, until you've done the sequence, you can't see the sequence, right?
Right.
And I think also like it's nice, the first word, kshana, is that moment in time, and then krama, kshanas make kramas, right? So those little moments in time link up, exactly. They link up to make the krama, the uninterrupted sequence. And I like also that it's uninterrupted. Like if we just think of it in a very basic sense as yoga teachers, think of in our express class, Jivamukti Surya Namaskar, Surya Namaskar B, right? Those 2 kind of like parts of it, the sun salutations. There's no pause, right? 1 breath, 1 movement. You're not, and that's what we did when we did the strict vinyasa. You're not like inhale, hook thumbs, and then exhale, fold over straight legs, and then oh wait, okay, step the left foot back, but really make sure you're pointing that foot back, and like it's 1 breath, 1 movement, uninterrupted sequence of events. It's not random, and you can't really see the whole thing until you've done the whole thing, right?
You don't know the outcome
Yeah,
of
yeah.
the events until the events are truly over. Which is also interesting, like when you look at the word krama, it does look like a little bit like karma. And it's actually, there's a reason because your karma has a krama to it also.
Yes, right.
They're not
Yep.
they're intentionally kind of similar words.
Because karma can feel kind of random. Like, why on earth did that? It's not. Like, I didn't do anything to him. Why was he so mean to me? Well, you know, the law of karma would say at some point there was a karmic interaction. Do you know what I mean? Like this. Yeah, exactly.
There was a keshan
Yep.
and a karma that was going to interact.
Yes.
It was not haphazard.
It's kind of like, on a very, very poor analogy, that show, This Is Us, where they show you kind of what happened later, and then later in the episode you see what led up to that. And you can see it, but you don't get it until it's over. Does that make sense? Like, I think,
Well, let's ask this.
yeah.
Is it the same every
That's what I was going to say. Is it like repetition? Like our teacher Sharon will say, like, with repetition, the magic is forced to arise. But repetition, is it exactly the same? Is it ever quite the same? Like, right? Right. Even like subtly.
You may think it's the same.
Yeah. On a gross level, it's the same, right? Unless the teacher makes a mistake. I say that. Like on a gross level, it's the same. But even the same person in the same spot in the room on the same mat, is it ever exactly the same, right? Like, because there's so many factors that we just can't and shouldn't even try to control and manipulate, right? Like there is a growth, there's a transformation, there is a movement, right? Like things are always moving. Yeah. I think that's a really good question, though, because yes, it's not like it's totally random express class and you have no idea what we're going to do, right? Like, hopefully. So some questions kind of with this idea, if we read the interpretation again, and kind of put all those words together, we have, and I like this interpretation again a lot because it really, if we take those words, you see how this interpretation came about. It's not a stretch, it's not kind of making something work that doesn't work. This is it. The uninterrupted moments corresponding to a sequence of events are permanently grasped and realized when the transformation is completed. So time, Kashana, is our time in general, like we'll look at this on a few different levels, but kind of a question to think about is our time important and why? And I feel like when I ask that question, especially in this context, nobody's gonna be like, no, it's not important, because why would you be talking about it, Catherine, if it's not important, right? Like, obviously, it's important, but why? Like, is time important and why in your life? And it's a broad question, so you might not have an answer to give out loud, but just kind of think about it. Like, is our time on this planet during our days, is our time important and why? Yeah.
What we do with it is important,
Mm-hmm.
but we have this illusion that there's such a limited amount of it.
Mm.
In reality, it's infinite.
Interesting.
Though it's not infinite in our
Yep.
perspective because we are finite.
Like in this body, it's not infinite, right? Yeah. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yeah.
So yes, it's important,
Yeah.
but not in the way that we apply importance to it, I think.
Yes. Almost like if you're looking at it as like a bank of money, like we see it as like, I only have this much to spend and I'm going to be greedy with it, or I'm going to like, get nervous about it and anxious about it. Not like that, right? Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What if I were asked, is other people's time important?
Mm-hmm. That's what we're going to get into next. Yeah. Uh-huh.
So, because we don't know how much time we have with someone,
Yeah.
and any interaction, we just don't know.
And think about like some specific examples that I like here, like, and I was thinking about these last night as I was reading this over. How many of you, you don't have to answer this out loud, I will. How many of you are always on time to appointments? I'm not. So I actually was talking with my sister about this. Yeah. So I'm either early or I'm going to be like sweating it. And like I used to teach the 7:30 a.m. class at Jivamukti, New York City. I came from Woodstock. It's a 2-hour drive. Yeah. And I knew myself, and I was like, I am either going to be there at like 7:29, running in the door like, get your mats out, or I'm going to be there at 6:15. I'm going to get there at 6:15. I'm going to like wash my hands, set up the room, turn the heat on, practice my own practice, then let people in, and that's what I did. So I got up very early Monday mornings. But it was that because I knew, in that context, I knew I have an opportunity to teach something that I love, and if I'm late, these students are going to be locked outside of the building. First of all, it's the first class of the day. And if I were a student and I got up to take a 7:30 class, I wouldn't come back if I was locked outside of the building. And that would break the community, right? That would break the satsang. That would not be respectful. I would understand why that wouldn't build a class, right? I would get it. So how many of you are always on time to appointments? I mean, I can't say that I am. And I think this is too, I think it's just important to like think as well with compassion. Like obviously we know one-offs happen, like life happens. No one is perfect all the time, but we also want to look in ourselves with honesty, not judgment, but with honesty. What is my pattern, right? Like am I setting a value on my time and the people who I'm interacting with, right? Like am I like saying it's not important consciously, but am I just forgetting about it? Am I like almost like not even giving it any value, right? Like, yeah, that's what I tend to do too. It's like I can easily fall into just not even recognizing it. Yeah. Yeah. 100%, right? Yeah.
Stay up. non-stealing.
Non-stealing.
Stealing of
Yep.
somebody else's time.
Yep. Not intentionally. You might not say, I'm going to try to steal your time now. But in honest look back, in honest reflection, what is my pattern, right? Yeah.
I mean, and the opposite of that, what you just described,
Yeah.
is there was a teacher that we both know.
Yes.
Names,
Yeah.
like, for them to go 40 minutes over,
Oh, I was going to get, yes. Yeah.
they thought nothing of it.
Every time, every class. So,
They could not
Yeah.
end the class on time.
and it wasn't that they started the class late. So they start the class on time, but the class would literally go 40, 45 minutes over. That's not an exaggeration. And it wasn't once in a while. It was literally, that was what happened. My question with that, just as for the group, is it wasn't done out of a malintention, but who, if you look back, if you were that person, if you're that teacher and you're like, I just went 40 minutes over for this express class, right? An hour class, I went an hour and 40 minutes. If you look back, which parties, who is that rude to? Like, whose time was stolen? Do you know what I mean? Like, who is affected? There's a few different groups if you think about it, right? I think on a base level, it looks generous. Like, well, you know, Austin just gave 45 minutes extra of his time. Like, he really cares. But the students in the room, I know for myself, when I was a student in the room, I got anxious because I'm like, well, I don't want to leave early. But I might miss Metro North train back to Woodstock, and then I'm going to be really late. Like, it just creates an anxiety there. I also know that I was the teacher after that class sometimes.
Yeah.
Not fun. Not fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your colleagues are also affected.
Yeah, greatly.
There's a class in the room after them.
Yep. And the
They're
students.
scrambling.
And the students, exactly, they're scrambling. Their students are sitting outside kind of like, what's going on? So being on time, it is important because it does affect, like, it's a ripple effect, right? Right? Yeah. And what about, are you always early? How many of you are always early? And I try to think of that one, like, is there ever, I was thinking of this last night, like, was there ever a time in my life where I was early and it inconvenienced someone? No. I feel like that gives more options. Like, if I go to a patient's house, I see patients for home care, so I go to their houses. And I tell them I can't give you an exact time because the roads in New Rochelle are not easy to drive around. So if I get there early, some people, they don't care. But some people, I'm like, they're going to be stressed. They're not ready. They're old. They're not going to be ready. Like, they need their time. I can wait in my car. Like, there's an option. But if I'm late, I can't do anything about it. But if I'm early, at least there's some options to think through, right?
I will say that, like, in my other career as a costume
Yeah.
designer,
Yeah.
I found that I would go to interviews and things early,
Yeah.
thinking that was a good thing to do. And actually, it took me years to realize that for some people, it was a negative, like, that they saw it negatively, and that
Interesting.
they felt like that I was aggressive and anxious.
Interesting. Ah.
So I had to learn to, like,
Interesting.
wait in the car or go to a coffee
Right.
shop, and to stop
Right.
showing up like 20 minutes early.
So that, yeah, like, you're there, you know, you're not going to be late, but then you're not in their space kind of thing almost?
Because
Okay.
it's
Uh-huh.
the thing that, like, if a person is, if they have a tendency to kind of be always on time or a little late, they see you and they're like,
Yes,
this is
that's true.
bad energy to have. I mean, but, you know, for me,
Right.
if you're working for me,
Right.
you show up 20 minutes early, I'm happy.
Right. Because you're a person, right. You're a person who's always early, so you're like, great, like, I get this. Yeah. And think about also, like, I don't know, like, if you were thinking about, like, if you're teaching a yoga class and you walk in and maybe you're there like 10 minutes early and the train was a little bit late, and then there's like a student who's been there like 20 minutes, like, there is a certain feeling, I guess, that goes with it. Like, maybe for me, like, I remember that happening once and I was like, I feel so guilty. You know, there was like a certain like label that I gave it, or like a, I don't know, like a story that I created in my head. But at the end of the day, I think the best things we can do, because there are always, like, there's all these factors, just like we were saying with these sequences of events that happen to get us where we're going. The best thing we can do is look at the pattern that we have and see, where am I valuing my time and the time of the people who I'm interacting with, right? Like, how can I value that the most? And I think there's an agreement when you have a schedule on a class. There's a certain unspoken agreement, or spoken in a sense. We're going to start here, we're going to end here. And to uphold that agreement, because that's what people are counting on, in a sense, for whatever. We don't even need to know why. Maybe they're coming from work, maybe they have to walk their dog. It doesn't matter, but that's the agreement. And it's just integrity to hold that up, right? And to value it. Yeah. So to start on time, to end on time. And then the third thing, so starting on time, ending on time when you're teaching a yoga class. And the third thing, it's also important to understand the timing of the class that you're teaching. Meaning that it's important not to shorten some aspects of the class or to lengthen some aspects of the class. Now there's, if you're teaching an open class, it's up to you to create your class in that time frame. The studio's given you 75 or 95 minutes. So it's up to you to create a framework that works for you, a clock in your own head, right? If you're teaching an express class, we're lucky in a sense because this class was not randomly designed, right? Kshana, Pratiyogan, Pranayama, Aparanta, Nirgraha, Kramaha. It's not random. It's put in this order with these times on purpose. So it's important for the student's experience that we honor those times, not just that we start on time and end on time, and we did like 45 minutes of shoulder stand. I skipped out on some of the forward folds, and I really like headstand, so we did some headstand. Like, everything should be in the time that it's allotted. Now this clock, I have to say, this, I believe, correct me if I'm giving you credit, but this was Austin's idea, and when I first started teaching Spiritual Warrior, this was like my secret weapon that you gave me. It was my saving grace. Because what we were told was just start on time and end on time. And you have the times of things are supposed to be, but it's like, you're just scrambling in your head. You're looking at the clock. You're like, wait, shoot. How many, I don't know. Oh God, well, we only have 2 minutes left. Okay, Shavasana. But this clock, if you can think, okay, my class starts at this time, and you can go around and have these outlines that we're going to give you, it's like no fail. You'll always get everything in the correct timing. So, if we go through the clock together, we know that we have the warm-up. And how long is the warm-up? Yeah. So let's just say our class is starting at like noon, right? This is a noon class. And if it's starting at like 1:30, or 12:30, obviously you can shift things, like it's proportional, right? So we know the warm-up is 10 minutes exactly. And it's, kind of practicing that breath count so that it really is within the 10 minutes. Because just within that warm-up, think about all the little kshanas in that warm-up. There's 10 different things, right? It's not one thing. It's all these little moments in time that add up to make the 10-minute warm-up, right?
Which is what's interesting is like to take apart that idea of
Yeah,
kshana.
yeah.
That means that on a fast breath count like what we're doing
Yep.
for an express class, that 10 breaths is 1 minute.
Yes, right. Yes.
That's where it becomes interesting.
Dimensionless.
You start to realize that actually you counting the breath, yes, you're helping them inhale and exhale and reminding them, but you're also marking time.
Yeah, right.
And that there
Right.
is, once you get into a rhythm,
Yep.
that rhythm will predict the amount of time you're in one thing.
Yes. And that's a really important point. I remember joking, my boyfriend is a physical therapist. Beforehand, he was a personal trainer. And he said he didn't like personal training because he's like, all I did was just count. Like, it'd be like 1, 2, 3. But all he was doing was just counting as people were doing things. As a yoga teacher, that's not what we're doing. We're counting to set the rhythm. I'm not just counting and letting you decide the rhythm as a student. Like, okay, that looks like, okay, now you're on 5. Okay, now you're in plank. I'm setting the rhythm. Like, I'm taking what we call the seat of the teacher and setting that time with the count, right? It's not just randomly counting. There's a rhythm to it. Yeah, I think that's a really important point. So we have a 10-minute warm-up. Okay, and then sun salutations, which include, if we look through, we've been kind of saying the sections out loud, right? So we have the Jivamukti A, hook thumbs, and then we have the warrior 1, 2, so that's called Ashtanga B. So those two things together are the sun salutations. How long should they be? 5 minutes, yep, 5 minutes, 5 minutes. Both of them, like the whole thing together, is 5 minutes. So then draw a line to the next 5 minutes increment, yep, perfect. And I think it's helpful as Austin's doing it. I did it for myself once in like color, like red, orange, yellow. It's helpful at first to write in what these are, because if you just draw lines, it's kind of like, something should happen there. I'm not quite sure what. Like, it's good to know what these things are. So we have the 10-minute warm-up, 5-minute sun salutations. We're at 15 minutes now since our class started, right? And in the warm-up, that kind of encompasses Om, 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 Shanti, 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 which again is what we were saying. If I look and I'm like, woo, we're at like 9 minutes and 45 seconds, I might not sit down, open up the harmonium, and right then I might just do chanting a cappella, which is fine. You know, if I look and I'm like, oh, it's like 8 minutes and 30 seconds, then I can, you know, like judge that. Okay, so now we have our standing asanas, which are, if you think about that, that's the warrior 1 held for 5 breaths, right? Open to warrior 2, we go into triangle. So it's that sequence that I think some of you guys started yesterday teaching, right? So it's that next session. Yep, exactly, right? Starts with the twist from Utkatasana, and that whole standing sequence. So that whole standing sequence.
All the way to the side plank.
All the way to the side plank, yep. On both sides. How long should that take? 17 minutes. Yeah, 15, 17 if you include the side plank, and the knees, chest, chin.
You really want to get it down to 15. Does you guys still, does it still say 17 in your book?
Is the 17 including like into child seat maybe?
Oh.
Maybe that's what, I'm just thinking because that's an extra 2 minutes.
It could be kind of into that child seat prep for a headstand.
Yeah, then I could allow,
17.
yeah. I would say a clean 15 makes it nice. Like just like if you're traveling from Woodstock to 14th Street to teach a yoga class, you want to have a couple grace minutes. Like you don't want to cut it as close as you possibly can, right? So 15 minutes for the standing asanas. And I like that timing, honestly. I think that gives, it doesn't break the pace. It's not slow where you're like, there's a lag. We just kind of drop the energy. But you're also not rushing through things. You know, you're not just like warrior 1 for 5 breaths. Inhale, exhale 3, inhale, exhale 4, inhale, exhale 5, open out. You know, it's not like, okay, lady, like you're giving time to do it. But you're also not getting to this slow, because you still want to be moving. You're still heating the body kind of on this upward trend, right? So 15 minutes there. Headstand sequence, pop quiz. How many breaths in headstand? Yeah. 45, yeah. 35 is correct. Oh, it used to be. It used to be. Originally.
What happened was, I'm sorry about this. It looks like that I wrote down, like, and I did not go, I edited things as we worked on it, and I
Yep.
did not go back and edit your book. So can you have me a pen?
It's not wrong, it's just not right, as my teacher used to say. It used to be. Yeah, it was changed by the creator.
As we were working on it, and I wrote your manual before as the teachers worked on it in this class, they were like, 50's too long, I'm running into.
Right.
So.
Because you wanted it to be done within 5 minutes. So it's a headstand sequence is 5 minutes. The 50 breaths with the child seat, right, because that's part of that sequence, was a little long. So.
Can you guys check something for me? And I'm sorry. Can you look in the script, the back of your book, and tell me if it says. Okay.
Let's see here. It's 45 here.
Right, it's 45 there, but in the script, what does the headstand say? 45 or 50? It says 50. In the script in the back? Okay, all right, I will change that. Thank you.
You've been given official permission by the creator to change that to 45 in your script. 45. And then it does give the full 10 breaths in Balasana, which I like. Because 5 breaths in Balasana after a long headstand can kind of feel like an afterthought, like it's, but 10 breaths, people reset. So in that sequence, you can still get it in within 5 minutes. And I like that Austin counts. I think counting is important because people know where they are. And I think I do watch the clock as well, just so I make sure that my own counting is keeping that timing, right? Because I don't want to just like go on Catherine's time. Like I could count 45 slow, I could do it fast, I could sing it, I could dance around. Like I could count 45 breaths a lot of different ways. I want to do it within 5 minutes. So I do watch the clock. And then back bending. So the back bending starts with right knees, chest, chin. We go into cobra. We hold that, Bhujangasana, for 5 breaths. And then we go into the back bending sequence. How long for the back bending sequence? 5 minutes. Yep. And if you think about, like, if you name everything in that back bending sequence, there's a lot of different things. There's 2 Dhanurasanas, right? 3 wheels, bridge. These are backbending, they build heat. They're opening up the heart. These are not like, we haven't slowed yet, right? Like it's not sleep time yet. Because this is all done in 5 minutes, right? So it's not a panic rush, but it's a hustle in a sense, right? Like you're still moving.
You're moving.
Yeah, you're moving. And then we come up, we do boat. We go into the forward folds next. And the forward folds, how many minutes for the forward folds? Yep. And that I like too. So think about the forward folds themselves are a little slower, right? But you're forward folding and back bending for the same amount of time in this 1 hour sequence. And I think that's important because it wouldn't feel good to me to go to a yoga class where I was like, I did a lot of back bends. And that's it. You know what I mean? Like, how would that feel, right? Chakra-wise, body-wise, energy-wise, right? So there's a conscious placement. The back bending comes before the forward folds. There is something in between, kind of at the end of that back bending sequence that neutralizes out the spine. Does anybody know what that is? Yeah, exactly. So there's a conscious placement of that twist there because you don't want to just have people back bend, forward fold, right? So there's a conscious placement of a neutralizer there. And then there's another neutralizer as well that Austin added that I like. It's not, the boat, because it activates the core. Yeah, so we have the twist, we have the boat, then the forward folds. So I think it's really safe at that point to go into the forward folds. Like, exactly. Yeah, all the way through. Yeah, that's a good point. And then shoulder stand sequence. So how many breaths for shoulder stand? Yeah, 35, right, in shoulder stand itself. But the sequence we know includes also Halasana, Karnapidasana, and then Matsyasana. So for this whole sequence, 35 breath shoulder stand, all the way through the end of fish.
It says 4 minutes here.
Does it?
You end up doing 5.
5, yeah.
If you come out to 4, it's okay.
Yeah, right.
4, I was trying to pull straws. I'm sorry, I didn't realize. Like when there were so many edits of this thing that sometimes like the book got like mixed up with.
Because you do one and then.
Or there was like the script I was
Yeah.
working
Yeah.
on. The photo thing. So
Yeah.
and so I'll correct this. I'm sorry about that.
It's like
It ends up being about 5. I was pulling straws hoping that you could get a 6 minute
Right.
Shavasana.
Right.
It just doesn't happen.
Right, because if you did get it done in 4 minutes, shoulder stand, then you add that minute to Shavasana, right? If you have the 5 minute, if you've gone and you have the full 5 minute shoulder stand, now you've got 5 minutes Shavasana, which is fine. That's the minimum. 5 to 7 is the max. So like you don't want to get to the end of the class and be like, we have 12 minutes for Shavasana, because then you know that something was rushed in there, right? So 5 to 7 minutes, but let's say 5 minutes Shavasana, right? And then there's one more thing at the end. If you look at Austin's clock, to get to the 12, there's like this one empty piece of vegan pie there. Yeah, for 5 minutes. Meditation for 5 minutes. And I like this. It has all of the offerings of Irvin Sadhu in this hour, except for one, which is the spiritual talk, right? That is not forgotten, like it's included with the intention, like we talked about. It's not forgotten, but it's not explicitly talked about because it's too much in 1 hour to explicitly go into deep things, right?
It's not explored.
It's not explored. Exploration. Yeah, it's not explored. Yeah.
It's there, but it's not explored.
Yep. Right. It's not forgotten. It's not saying it's not important, but it's not explored. Yeah.
And I guess one thing I want to say about the timing, if you don't mind,
Yeah.
is that when you have a group of students that know the script,
Yeah.
you will find that you can give them a 6 to 7 minute shavasana.
Yes.
Because you will move faster.
Yes.
If you have students who don't know where they are in the class,
Yeah.
then you're going to end up giving people a 5-minute shavasana.
That's true. That's very true.
That was really kind of like in trying to figure out the timing and designing it, you were kind of constantly pulling
Yep.
straws because you were like, okay, I know if they all know it,
Yep. I'm here.
I can just say Adva Matsyendrasana.
Right. Right. You don't have to say, put the right foot on the outside of the left knee. Right.
Say, plug your sit bones in.
Yep. Yep.
Like I know
Right.
that, like if I can just purely do the script and just say the names
Right.
and inhale and exhale, there's a 7-minute shavasana.
Right.
If I have to give directions, that is going to eat up my 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So it was
Yep.
when designing it, it was like I know
true.
it's there, but you're not going to get it.
It's true. Yeah.
Because there's going to be one student in the class who's never taken a yoga class.
Right.
And they've decided to come to this for the first yoga
Yeah.
class in their life.
That's actually interesting. I think there is sometimes it's not good or bad, but sometimes people come to like express class, like I've never done yoga, so I can do this because it's going to be easy. It's only an hour, but it's like actually harder. Yeah.
Because you're expected to know more.
Yes. And as the teacher, it's harder because you're like, I want to be able to help you, but I'm leading a led class. You know, it's inappropriate. And I've seen teachers do it in Spiritual Warrior where they'll kind of stop and like give someone a headstand tutorial and everyone else is like, we've been here for 12 minutes now. Do you know what I mean? It's not appropriate in that context. Yeah. Because just like brand new. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yep. One thing I think that I like is make sure in that situation, it's nice anyways to do it this way, but especially in that situation, if the mats are all facing in, they've got someone they can visually follow. Now you want them to start not relying on their visual, I'm just gonna monkey see, monkey do, right? You want them to start listening. But because this is an hour, I'm talking fast, and I almost don't shut up the whole time, right, till the end. You want them to kind of have a guide or like, oh, okay, I'm on the right track. And that, I think, calms them a little. And as well, I will make sure that I'm aware of them the whole time with my assist. I don't want to be on top of them the whole time, like assist, adjust. I don't want them to feel like you're doing everything wrong, right? But I want to be aware, so I might go and just tactilely instruct them without stopping the class and stopping the flow of what I'm saying, but I might just like go over and give them those, like Austin saying, plug the sit bones down, blah, blah. You might not have time to say all that, but you can do it, right?
I think the other thing is one of the things that's nice about this is that the little green flyer, like hand that to them at the beginning of
Yeah,
class.
that's great. Yes,
That
yes.
way they
Yep.
know what
Yep.
they're in for.
Yep. Yeah, they're like, oh, I saw that thing.
Handstand
Yeah.
in the first 30 minutes.
He's saying headstand. I saw that thing where her feet were up there. So like, here we go.
So that is helpful.
Yeah.
It's a visual kind of cue because
Yep.
it's a sequencing.
Yep.
And then
Yep.
also,
Qualifications, right? Like if someone doesn't have access
Yes, totally. Of course.
wall, like that's okay.
yeah, and then I think that the other thing is that, as you get to know the other things that the method offers, that it's okay to say to a student
Yeah.
afterwards, I'm
Yeah.
glad you came to class. I really think you should go to fundamentals.
Totally.
I
Totally.
think you should go to beginner vinyasa.
Yeah.
You've been practicing somewhere for a little while, but to really understand what we do, beginner vinyasa would be great for you. This is
Yeah.
the ways we teach it.
and like then go there and then come back to this class and see how it feels different, because I feel like that's going to make you, it's going to give you a better appreciation, right?
Yeah. There's two ways to kind of approach this particular class. One is that people say all the time, well, it's the same thing over and over and over again. They'll get stronger. Maybe.
Yeah, I agree.
That's what my feeling is about that. I used to see that happen all the time with the
Yep.
whole spiritual warrior.
Yeah.
And then there are some people who they just flounder through it and they never get better.
Well, because
Like
they're doing the same wrong thing over and over and over.
Wrong thing over, and they need actually some one-on-one,
Yep.
more
Yep.
like the fundamentals or foundational vinyasa would offer them.
Yep. It's like a transformation moving forward, right? If you're just kind of stuck in that same, the word in Sanskrit is like samskara, that same groove, and you do it over and over and over and over, you're just digging the groove deeper, right?
Yeah.
But you want to be moving.
Forward.
Yeah.
Doing the same thing, expecting a different outcome.
Yes.
Right.
That happens, Unfortunately,
Right.
that happens.
Right. But I think encouraging people to go to other classes and having that confidence to say, like, I'm so glad you came. I feel like this class would be really good for you if you went to the foundations, because blah, blah,
You'll
blah.
understand it's-
Yeah.
They'll break
Yeah.
down that Surya Namaskar for you
Yeah.
step by step.
Yep.
Which I don't have time to
Yep.
do in this class.
I wish that somebody had said that to me when I first started, because I started Jivamukti, I went to a yoga class at a gym, and I was like, this guy is really cool. Like, I was like, yoga's fine, like, whatever, it's fine, I don't care. So I, like, went, and I was like, Austin was probably like, what is she even doing? Because I had no idea. But I kept going because I loved it. And then eventually I did the teacher training, and I was like, oh, gotcha. Okay, that's triangle. Like, do you know what I mean? But I kept going because I loved it, and I learned a lot, and I was young, and I had some body awareness, you know what I mean? So it was like I was in a good position. So I wasn't like floundering, doing like all the wrong things. I wasn't injured. Nothing bad happened. But like, it is good to go to the fundamentals. And maybe somebody did say, I'm going to be honest, maybe somebody did say that to me. I tend to be like, I'm not doing fundamentals. That's so boring. I'm not doing it. But like, but I think it is good to look at that and guide people to the correct or the most appropriate class to get that foundation, literally. Yeah, because within this class, you don't want to try to make this class a foundation, a fundamentals class, because it's not, and you have an hour. And you want to honor the time, like all of these little pieces of this pie within that hour. Because again, there's different parties who it might not be fair to if you don't, right? So, yeah.
Terrific.
Yay.
And I,
If we suggest a person to go to a fundamental class, it's like a one-on-one talk, or it's like you would do it at an open, like after meditation and finish.
Exactly. Yeah, I wouldn't say it like in the middle of like triangle, like you should go to fundamentals. What are you doing?
after the class is over.
Yeah. Yeah.
All the people here, you say it, or just do it one-on-one.
One-on-one. One-on-one.
That one person
Yep.
who's really lost in
Right.
the class and say,
Right.
I'm really glad
Yeah.
you came. I really want to see you back in my class, but I really think that if you, like,
Yeah.
like if they have like a new student special, they get 2
Yeah.
weeks limited,
Right.
right? Use that 2 weeks and also go to the fundamentals
Yeah.
and also go to the foundational vinyasa
Right.
and get as much as you can, because these people are the only people who teach a basic program. Nobody else in town teaches basics.
Right.
So you're
Yeah.
going to learn something. And then come back to my class.
Yeah. Because then it's like you're doing things, and it's you actually do. You don't just keep creating the same groove. You move forward.
And then
Yeah.
also that kind of tries to help to cultivate a community. Build a
Yeah.
relationship.
Yeah. Instead of just like, oh, bye. I didn't even
like
notice you were
that's-
here. Like,
and
yeah.
That as a teacher, as a
Yeah.
new teacher, that kind of like, I'm in the classroom and out of the classroom. See you later, guys.
Yep.
And the first one out of the studio is the worst.
It is.
The
It's
students
yeah.
notice it.
Yeah. I
And,
agree.
It's,
I agree.
It's, they notice when you're running out the door and you're running in. They notice it and they don't feel cared for.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I have seen teachers who were
Yeah.
very, very popular. Like, in popularity doesn't mean they're
Good.
knowledgeable
Right.
or anything, but they're popular.
Right.
Get comfortable in their popularity
Yep.
and start doing things like show up late
Yep.
or leave to run out the door,
Yeah.
or sub their class every week,
Yep.
and like all of a sudden then
Right.
nobody comes to their class.
Right.
And before that they had like, tons of people in their class.
Yep.
They got confident
Yep.
and
Right. Because there is a certain, like, when you give your time, not having class go over, but you give your time, you're available for students, you want to ask questions, you chit chat a little bit, like how do you feel when someone gives you their time? You feel like you matter a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Like if someone doesn't give you your time, you're like, well, obviously I'm not that important to them, right?
Right. I think, and also, so I think, I hear a lot of rumblings right now about like this kind of thing within the world of like teachers trying to say that, oh, studios are taking advantage of them. The thing about this is we're in a business that we actually, it's a social business, whether
Yeah.
you like it or not.
Right.
And your livelihood actually depends on the students liking you.
Right.
Period.
Right.
Like, so you want to do whatever you can to cultivate a relationship with students.
Right. And do
Like,
it for,
that's really
it
the
is.
truth. It's not the studio's job.
No, it's not. It's your job.
I can't force a studio, as a studio owner, I can't force somebody to go to so-and-so's
Right.
class.
Right.
I can post social media
Right.
stuff.
Right.
I can, like,
That's
but
about
it's
it, though.
actually,
Yeah.
and like, and you hear it from the students. I hear it. Like, they go, oh, so-and-so, I love her class.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then they were also they'll go, oh yeah, so-and-so's class.
Oh yeah, I remember.
They'll like, oh yeah.
I think I took her class once.
So
Yeah.
it's like, and it's almost something that we can talk about, but I can't really teach it.
Right.
I can't install it into you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can bring it up, but I can't. Whatever that magic is, you have to bring it to it. You know what I'm saying?
I think it's like, it is caring about people in a sense. Like I remember Sharon said, like, I think she said this to me, like personally, she's like, what is your most important job as a yoga teacher? And I was like, to remember the sequence. And she's like, no, to see each person, she says, as a holy being. So basically when you see a student, don't just be like, whatever, oh, he sucks. You know what I mean? But try your best to see each person as valuable, as unique, as interesting. You know what I mean? Like there's like, and oh my gosh, thank you. Like you actually took an hour out of your day to come to a class that I was teaching. Like each person matters. And like if the more you can just practice that, for me, like just practice that in yourself is like, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. It's more natural to want to have chit chats with people because they're interesting, you know? Like, yeah. Yeah.
The next thing I think I'm going to advise is everybody should take all of the class types we offer.
Yeah.
You're getting trained in this method.
Yeah.
Don't be one of those teachers that
Yeah.
only want to go to open classes. So the foundation is step by step, like a workshop.
Yeah, it's like a workshop.
Fundamentals are like, it's like a workshop.
Yeah.
Foundational vinyasa is I'm going to teach you this Jivamukti Surya Namaskar. We'll break it down, but then we're going to do it like a vinyasa.
Right.
It's like level 2.
Yeah. It's not like a workshop per se.
Descriptions that you have, one of them says that it's like a 4-week program. So like, are you have the same set of people come each week for 4 weeks and then you start again?
Well, it means that like week 1 is standing asanas, week 2 of the calendar week is forward folds and twists, week 3 is back bending, week 4 is inversions.
Yeah.
And then the foundational vinyasa mirrors that. So you go to week 1 and the focus is standing asanas. Then week 2, the focus is forward folds. Then the week 3, the focus is
Right.
back bending, and week 4 is more focused on inversion. And then hopefully that kind of gets people to be able to go into an open class with confidence.
Yeah.
Go into this class with confidence.
Yeah, right?
You don't need to start in week 1.
No,
No.
right?
It's
Yeah.
nice if you do.
Right.
It's nice if you do, only because there's certain language that we kind of give them that kind of sets everything up. And, like week 1, we teach Tadasana. So in week 2,
Yeah.
I'm not going to go back and teach Tadasana because
Right.
I taught it in week 1. So if I say, come stand in Tadasana, and you missed
Right.
week 1, you're like,
Right. Right, but you don't have time there to go like, well, I'm going to do a Tadasana workshop now because it's, yeah.
So
Yeah.
it does, you can come in at any point, but it does kind of help if you kind of see it as like the krama.
Yeah, yeah, like yeah, exactly,
It's the
a
krama.
thread, yeah.
It's the
Boom, boom, boom,
Kesha
boom. Yeah,
krama,
yeah,
Vinyasa krama.
yeah. They add up. Yeah.
It's that same idea.
Yeah, yeah.
Even that's a vinyasa krama.
Hmm. Yeah, it definitely is. It definitely is. Yeah.
Triguna? Well, yes, but the thing, but the triguna isn't going to get them to understand the methodology of an open class. Because I've broken that. That triguna thing is like its own thing. It's not, it doesn't have anything to do with the 15 offerings. It doesn't really have anything to do with,
Right,
I mean, I don't teach chaturanga in it.
right.
I don't teach, I mean, it really, it's very, that is very, and I don't teach a lot of alignment unless I see something that's going wrong.
Would you suggest to, like, is there a student who you'd say, like, just come to Triguna, or do you typically suggest it as, like a, in addition to? Do you know what I mean? As like
I like it
a
as
bonus.
an addition to,
Yeah,
but
that's
if
what I,
had
yeah.
somebody with a lot of injuries.
Okay,
or
okay,
older,
okay. Yep,
wanting
older.
to move and still do
Yeah.
a little like
That
quick
makes sense.
movement,
Yeah,
but needed to do more restorative.
that makes sense.
Or more
Right.
yin style.
But they're not just doing a full yin class. They're still moving a little, but it's not going to be too much. And then they're going to have.
Jumping back.
Okay.
They're not going to be like
Yeah. Okay.
impact. There's going to be low impact.
Okay. Yeah.
So it
Low
might
impact.
be good for
Okay.
like somebody also who's recovering from an injury. A lot of the
Mm-hmm.
students who are in open classes that get injured, or
Mm.
you know, sometimes even like some people have had surgeries and things like
That
that.
makes sense. That makes
They'll
sense.
come to Triguna
That makes sense.
because they'll get a little movement, but they know
Yep.
they're not going to be really
Yeah.
pushed.
Right. Or missing something because it's like, yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
or
Okay.
like going into deep
Yes.
hard
Yes.
things that,
Yeah.
like, you know, if they've had like abdomen surgery or something
Right,
like that, what
right.
they're going to do, like,
Yeah.
you know, we're not going to do,
King pigeon or something.
or like bird of paradise.
Right.
or
Right.
bird
Right.
of
Right.
paradise.
Right. 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 You're not just going to throw that in there randomly.
You
Yeah.
know, they're going to
Okay.
do like a little triangle, they're going to do a little extended angle. You know. Yeah, they're going to be challenged still.
Yeah.
If they're
Yes. That makes sense.
yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe say, you know, you should be Triguna and fundamentals.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that would be nice. So yeah, so like start trying all the different classes we do.
Yeah.
Triguna is so different.
Yeah.
It's so different from open class. That one's not for the faint of heart.
Which one?
You're trying to. I keep thinking like, oh great,
I could do the 20. A different perspective.
But see, that's the thing. It's like it goes into a yin, and yin is
Yeah.
not like yin is not as easy as people think.
It's not restorative. Yeah.
Really.
Yep.
Like, and I had one of those. I mean, like when the first time I took yin, I hated it.
Me too.
Because I'm tight.
Oh, I was gonna
and,
jump
like,
out of my
the first
skin.
thing the teacher, I mean, I was a tight guy, and like the first thing the teacher called was like it was like a pigeon.
Yeah, for
And I was
10
like,
minutes, you're
"You're
like,
a
oh my
dog."
And they're like, stay here. And you're like,
And
no.
And they're gonna stay here. And I'm just like, your mind's like, "Urgh."
Yeah. Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I never went back, and then I realized, well, I don't like it because they're not giving me any warm up. If they just give me a sun salutation,
Something.
I would
Yeah.
be happy doing this.
Yeah.
I need to get a little heat
Yeah.
built, and so that's why.
Then chill. Yeah, I get that. I get that.
And
I do.
That's just the truth. It was like an answer to like.
I like that.
And the thing that I find that people who love yin, they're like ex-dancers who are just
Yes.
flexible. And
No
they
matter
just
what.
flop into
Yeah.
it.
Yep.
They just love it.
Yep.
And I'm like, if you're an athlete or something like that, you can't. You have to have some heat to get the muscles open enough to energetically even do that.
Even in the open class, that makes
Yeah, yeah, I get that. Yeah.
The yin class, when you stay in certain positions,
Yep. Yeah. I don't know why I'm crying. Making people cry one student at a time.
Well, we should set up for practice. So
Express class.
let's say we'll start at 11:15.
Perfect.
You got 5 minutes. Oh, you want to give me that?
Yeah.